Terrible news, everyone. John Doyle has returned with another, whatever the fuck his videos are. John Doyle is back with another absolute banger, of course. Feds and libertarians team up to arm illegal migrants. Do you think this racist motherfucker is going to have a reasonable response at all into the nature of gun rights? No, of course not. If you're considered a migrant in his eyes, you don't deserve the right to a gun, which is something he and 2A advocates would, I assume, consider like a human right, like an immutable sort of the right to self-defense type thing, or does he think, because it would have to be in this case, only applicable to specifically Americans? I don't really understand how you can make a foundation for the Second Amendment being important if it's not important independent of the Constitution. You know what I mean? Is racism particle brain rot? Oh, yeah. All right, here we go. Let's do it. John Doyle. Ugh.
New season of America just dropped. We are no longer just an economic zone where anyone in the world can flood into the country to pick at the bones of our civilization.
Pick at the bones. This was actually crazy. I actually saw this. Man arrested in Waco for allegedly eating leg from victim of fatal train accident. So a guy got hit by a train, and this obviously unstable individual walked by, picked up the fucking leg, and started walking around with it, and seems to be chewing on it. Totally real. I watched the video. It's a floppy, severed leg, and he's just walking around with it. He got arrested for it. I actually thought when I read the headline that he took it home and cooked it, but he doesn't. It's like sushi. He eats it. He's on the side of the street, right there, bending over, taking a bite of it. Now, when I see that, I'm like, wow, that guy has problems. I sure wish this country had mental health care and places for people to go instead of wander the streets in the search for human rights. And the other thing I think of is how fortunate that a cannibal walked across an accident where a severed leg was. Good for this guy. I don't really have like an ethical concern in a vacuum about like a guy found a leg and no one's claimed the leg and he's like, well, I'll eat the leg. But like, it's clear you only do that if your brain is fucked up, right? And I'm pretty sure maybe they wanted the leg back. I feel like the guy that died probably didn't want his leg eaten, right? So there's a little of that going on. But like, you can do a little consensual cannibalism. I don't think this is consent. I think this is bad. You'd do it? I'd do it. I'd try it. Try a little leg. Anyway, so here though, because his name is Rosendo Tellez, he makes it a race thing. So now it's poisoned. White guys do crazy shit like this all the fucking time. All the time they do this. They'll post it on Reddit. But this one Rosendo Tellez, I don't know where he's from, Hispanic individual with mental health problems and is homeless because of a corrupt system, that's a race thing.
Just an economic zone where anyone in the world can flood into the country to pick at the bones of our civilization. Now we are also a rights zone where a federal judge has ruled that anyone in the world upon flooding into the country is actually free to carry a firearm because that's constitutional, which is to say that is actually the outcome that the Founding Fathers intended for in writing that document.
Interesting. So do you think we should have some gun regulation then, John? Kind of a pickle you're in. So, regulating guns? Ooh. Tough position to be in.
I know that may raise some red flags, but this decision, which of course came from an Obama-appointed federal judge, it was actually praised.
Everyone should be able to get a gun, except those guys! Sure. John dresses and looks like a kid who'd tell you not to come to the school tomorrow. Oh, yeah, he does.
Our annoying little brother, our cousin who never quite grew up, never quite figured it out, the online libertarians who were celebrating criminals accessing firearms as some victory for freedom.
You deserve the right to defend yourself and your loved ones. Rights are for everyone. Look, I am not a big 2A guy because this is propped up by capitalism, okay? The Second Amendment is not a noble pursuit. The Second Amendment is propped up by the pursuit of money, okay? That's what it's for. They're choosing money over human lives. I am fine with having access to technology that helps you defend yourself from like contemporary threats. I do not think you need this much gun to protect yourself from contemporary threats. I don't. In a society that runs functionally. But instead, these guys want to just destabilize everything all the time.
I guess outsmarted this far-left judge who was unknowingly...
So you're cool with a 3D printed Liberator? That's right,
But it's a real patriot victory on a brass platter. I mean, I don't know what to say. This is, of course, not the case. There's something sinister afoot, which is why I am issuing a real patriot alert. We are in serious patriot trouble right now. All this human rights, communist gobbledygook, right? If no human being is illegal, that is, by the way, the governing belief of our country right now. So everyone...
Yes, no human being is illegal, and they all have human rights. Gobbledygook. All right, if humans don't have rights, John, get ready. Get ready. The Antifa super soldiers will be there soon, I'm sure. Just let it give those. Have you ever met tankies that are for real? Have you ever met a for real tank, one that actually wants to smoke? Don't let them know, John. It's a communist tenet. Arm the workers. Yeah.
Everyone gets to come here, because if a human being could conceivably be illegal, we would enforce those laws. But there's virtually no effort to, because those in charge believe that's an impossibility. So no human being is illegal.
Correct.
We put the signal up, come on in, and Mexico and the cartels escort you. It's all paid for and coordinated by these.
Mm-hmm. The cartels escort you. Why do the cartels escort them, John? The cartels escort people through the border in the USA because it's not very permeable. It created a market for that. Capitalism props that up. Along with the drug war, a right-wing stance. These are all right-wing problems. The drug war causes the market that allows the cartel to fund its human trafficking issues. Like, come on, man. And drug trafficking. If we could get legal access to these drugs and stuff and have health care so that you can get, so you can make sure that addiction can be managed, you would not have a market for black market heroin. The same thing happened to weed, dude. You make it legal, and now we don't have... This city that I live in used to have, like, gang problems, and it was funded by the sale of, like, weed, coke, stuff like that. Weed was huge. Millions of dollars of weed moving through here. And then they legalized it, and those guys just grow weed now, or they're out of the game because they got pushed out. Right? And so they can't make money doing that. That's a good thing. I mean, not the criminalization of possession of weed or necessarily even the sale of it, but like the associated gang violence is good because the associated gang violence being gone is good because it doesn't take, police action to fucking oppress these people. It takes giving these people economic opportunities. And a lot of the people in my area, because we have, we were trapped in capitalism, you have to give people economic opportunity under capitalism or it fails. And you have to give them affordable routes. And the economy here has done quite well since then.
These networks of NGOs.
Crossing the border, a $20 fee like a theme park, $70 3-day pass. See, I don't even think I want to pay gate it. I think so. A permeable like border is definitely something we want. I mean, in general, the most proactive thing to do would be to eventually dissolve states altogether. But obviously, we're already trapped in. They went through nation building. People were obsessed with nationalism. Our forefathers and shit, obsessed with nationalism. We're stuck in nationalism for our lives, certainly. It takes deconstruction over many generations to achieve any sort of thing that any of us would like to align with. However, for the current state of being, a solution to the problem is to add permeability, which means that someone can come no matter their economic status or like use for the country or anything, because we gate a lot of that out. Like we always grab in everyone's like doctors and everything, and that's fine. That's great. You want to incentivize people to come here when they have value to a country. I'm absolutely okay with incentivizing. But to keep people out is crazy. In the United States, there are some places that don't, I don't know, like if it was just a case of like a tiny place like Vermont taking on millions of people, it wouldn't make sense, right? Because of the area. You could be like, okay, well maybe we should just wait, right? Because again, we're in statehood already. It's already a thing. But like you can have people come through the American border in this vast country with all this opportunity that we sell as propaganda to the world. We tell people, come here for an opportunity, come here for money, come here for a better life, and then when they fucking do, they show up at your door and they say, hello, I would like to be an American because of the way that you show us you are, right? The way that you tell us you are. and then you turn those people that are hardworking, like literally they're coming with their families and they're like, I will work in your fucking seasonal strawberry fields, right? This is backbreaking, underpaid, borderline fucking slave labor, and yet they still want to do these things. There's a current labor shit going on in like Washington or something. Seasonal workers. There's a county. Was it in Washington? I can't remember. There's a county that wants to ban migrants somewhere in the country. I can't quite remember. We talked about it last week. And they want to ban them from getting jobs, but the companies there are lobbying against that because they need those people for their labor because American citizens aren't going to get that job because it doesn't pay enough, which of course is a problem of capitalism in and of itself, but that's a different fucking problem. Nebraska, thank you. The prisoners, oh man, the prison industrial complex. There's so many problems, obviously, that we could talk about. But like just on immigration, it's so easy to fix. Give someone the ability to come in to the country. You can monitor them. You can give them essentially like a probationary period if you want. I am fine, and it is pragmatic to screen individuals as they come through. 100% pragmatic, not at all opposed to just being aware and sussing out people. I wouldn't let John Doyle through my front door, and neither should you. He is not the only freak out there. They have freaks on the other side of the border too. So you just got to weed some of them out. However, I do think, nonetheless, if John, even if he is a freak, was here with his family and wanted to try to make it as an American, even though he's failing, he should be able to have the right to walk on Earth to a place he wants to try to be. Whether the community accepts him or ultimately the country does is another thing. I'm fine if there's because you have to have nation states, because of the way that we're so, everyone competes for resources. Deportation is still a tool that you will use in this case. And if John needed to be deported from your country for some reason because he's acting out and being nuts, you can totally do that. You can be like, okay, you get a shot. To not give people the opportunity to move into the country, we're a minute into this, to not give people the opportunity to move into the country is an absolute abject failure of not only human rights, but just like pragmatism. It just doesn't make any fucking sense. You say all the time about this issue, the Second Amendment, people are going to find a way to get illegal guns anyways, right? So why even regulate it? And now John is in this pickle because now he has to say, well, I do want to regulate it against those guys, which is fascinating. How can you not make the similar argument about immigration? They're going to find a way. You just cited it. You just said, oh yeah, and then the cartels bring them over. Aren't those bad guys? You created the cartel by having this political position. These are reactive elements. If people want to get into the country, they are going to. It's the earth. The political borders are made up. They're fake. It's the earth. It's just a planet. It doesn't have anything else. All right. That's my big fucking rant on why this is stupid. Let's watch the rest of this.
Those cartels, elite types, etc. So we let the whole world in, basically. And if everyone here is entitled to these natural rights, then we have to wonder, is everyone in the world equally capable of exercising these rights? That's what we're taught. Yeah, the system can work for anyone. It's just that the English were accidentally the first to figure it out. But it can.
The English were not the first to figure this out. What? Like civilization and stuff? The English were definitely not the first. They didn't even start imperialism. The Portuguese started that shit. And even before that, you had, the Portuguese started Western imperialism. But not even, modern Western imperialism. Certainly not the first empire, but definitely, with the ships and stuff. And were problems all over the world. The Spanish, the Dutch, and then the English. But they were not the only ones to figure out civilization. White supremacists are so fucking weird, dude. Japan exists. India exists. Other nations exist. Other cultures existed. Prior to this, Macedonia fucking existed. The Persian Empire, Rome, like Harappa, Mohenjo-Daro, if we're going to go back 8,000 fucking years. Like, there have been civilizations forever. And to think that we're like, oh, we figured it out because we have 250 years. That isn't even, like, fucking close to what other countries and civilizations have gone through. The Bronze Age collapse was after like 500 fucking years of sustained, successful empires. We're half that way. Thousands of years of empire in China and Japan. Like, what? It just looks aesthetically different, so you're like, well, that's not real life. Meanwhile, the English that you're citing here had the worst hygiene on the fucking planet, man. They had better hygiene in ancient Rome than they did in like industrialized England at the turning point of the Enlightenment and stuff, and certainly during the fucking 14, 15, 1600s. John, not knowing what he talks about. Wow, that's really surprising and shocking. Those apples look nice.
And work for anyone. And if we just snapped our fingers and everyone in the world suddenly had a gun, the world would actually be a less violent place because, as I'm sure you know, more guns equals less crime.
Wow, John. Interesting. So, we have a situation here where John has to now acknowledge that the proliferation of weapons of murder are not, in fact, relatively safer to be around when everyone's strapped. He acknowledges that right now. A core issue of right-wing politics that he is subscribed to and is currently virtue signaling behind his fucking head. This is right-wing brain rot. I am not 2 minutes into this video. We are under 2 minutes into this video. John, this is your dumbest, worst work so far. Is it uncivilized to wash your ass? It's so uncivilized. Dude, Japanese fucking standards for cleanliness and stuff when they met fucking like white people for the first time. They were racist against it. They thought we were we were barbarians, little white people, crazy dirty ass little guys.
But, you know, the left, they don't want to have that conversation. So now you see what's going on at the border. Literally, the seal is bursting, people flooding into the country. And you might say to yourself, wow, they're like invaders. No, that's half empty. Half full says that they are Second Amendment respecters. They are fellow humans. Who just want to exercise their rights in our right zone. They want admission to the theme park. That's why we don't let the armed guards do their job. Because seriously, we've like invented this idea that we have an obligation to other people. Human rights, that's not a real thing. That's not a...
Yes, it is. Human rights is real. John Doyle is just literally against human rights now. Cool. John, then you forfeit your human rights. John Doyle has forfeited his human rights. It takes one hero at this point. One hero away from John Doyle never being a problem again because he has abdicated his human rights. Why would you make this argument, John? You are a human. Razor wire rivers, right? Throw him in the razor wire river.
A concept. That's not like a thing that we're all aware of, like some objective phenomena where if you explained it to someone from another country, they'd be like, oh yeah, our word for that is just this. No, they'd be totally confused. You wouldn't even make sense to them. Like, computer, we, ordinateur, we let the whole world in. Well, actually, you know, they kind of have to do that too.
Another country wouldn't understand human rights? What?
Over in France, don't they? Recalls a silly little book, come to think of it. You get the point, though. This obligation to the whole world, that's a uniquely Western idea. No other people in the world practice that, let alone if it would mean the collapse of their civilization. And now we're going to arm them. And gun laws will be enforced just like now against only American patriots. And Christians really need...
Only American patriots and Christians. Those are the people doing mass shootings, John. Maybe you psychos should turn inward or turn them on yourselves. Like, save us the fucking trouble. This is, like, disgusting, man. You're just disgusting.
You need to understand this. There's nothing virtuous about collapsing your civilization.
Dude, the right-wing fucking Nazis, the white nationalists saying that society is collapsing due to migrants. They don't want to acknowledge any of the problems that cause human migration. They don't want to solve any of the problems. They just want to bitch about it. I don't understand.
There's nothing Christ-like about suicide. So we will go over all this nonsense about human rights, whatever that means. An updated truth about the Second Amendment, what gun ownership actually is and means in this country, why the left suddenly wants to democratize access to guns, why libertarians think this is good, which is...
Why the left suddenly wants guns? I think you are mistaking liberals with the left.
because they're stupid, why libertarians are stupid, what we can expect going forward as the country with the greatest civilian arms stockpile becomes overrun with the third world, and what you should do as a sensitive young man to prepare going forward. Do stay tuned. If you don't stay tuned, I'm going to shoot.
I'm skipping this.
Doyle in.
Skipping this. He kisses his sister. And
Heck off.
I mean, you know, I've always been offended by this idea that anyone can come to America, and if they just agree to our values or whatever, it means they're just as American as everybody else who...
Like, being born here is all it takes, John? Was it in this chat that someone said fascism is the death rattle of capitalism? Yeah, because that was bars. I've definitely said that. Fascism is a direct result of this, yeah.
Who's had families here for generations, sometimes even centuries. But now it's transitioning from offense to like imminent emergency situation, because now it's not that they just get to wear the title or whatever, but also that federal judges are maneuvering to grant them access to firearms using a ridiculous interpretation of an amendment, which was written largely to allow Americans to defend themselves from the uncivilized.
He just thinks it's edgy to be racist, bro. The uncivilized, yeah. The uncivilized British. Exactly.
One moment. I have to share something with you. Big announcement week. Continue. Join the Discord server, but anyways, let's start from the beginning here. So Sharon
I'm so glad I got to skip 2 minutes of this.
Coleman is a district court judge.
All right, I'm speeding him up.
Judge appointed by Barack Obama. She's ruled on things such as making same-sex marriage legal in Illinois before the Supreme Court would get around to it a year later.
Yep.
She suddenly decided that she is a pro-Second Amendment constitutionalist. So you had this illegal alien who was charged with illegally possessing a concealed handgun. It works its way up. Now this woman has ruled that it's actually constitutional for illegal aliens to possess firearms. We're not going to get into the obvious problems with this. If you don't get it, then you shouldn't be here. I don't have anything to say to you. But I hope that this does sort out any faith that people still may have in the rule of law, the Constitution, or whatever.
Yeah, the Constitution or whatever. So, are you an anti-constitutionalist now?
Respect to the Constitution, a piece of paper is not going to save you. The amount of hate that these people have for you.
Yeah, all respect to the Constitution. A piece of paper is not going to save you. Yeah, you know, I agree, John. The document that allowed slavery, not good, not a great one. Not for the same reasons, though. He's like, no, they undid slavery. That's the bad part.
Is not going to be impeded or restrained by words on paper. Like, when is that worked out? When the bad guys have the power and they decide that it's good for women to be sexually emancipated or whatever. When it's good to make it illegal.
Yes, women deserve to be sexually emancipated or whatever. Yeah, they don't. Yes. Why is John pretending to fuck? Stop it.
Legal to hire people based on merit. When it's good to import third world criminals who have average IQs of like 80, let them carry.
Yeah, look at this criminal. These children. You decided to say third world criminals when you see a bunch of like well-dressed, just young people? What is wrong with you, man? Do you even know that these people are migrants? Is this like real, like that you know that these are migrants? Because this could just be anybody. How would you know? He's just like clocking them because they're brown? I don't know, man. What is wrong with this? What is wrong with the scene I'm seeing?
Firearms, then they discover something in the Constitution that permits that. And by the way, good for them just means bad for us. Like, they don't even advertise themselves as being capable of raising the standard of living anymore. Like, all of their messaging is just that they want to make people like us miserable. That's why
I hope you're fucking miserable. Yeah, that's great. I don't want you to be miserable, but I love other people being happy making you miserable. If this is, going to be how you are, for sure. Is the dominance hierarchy working? I see the lobster here. Is the dominance hierarchy working, John? Are you doing a good job? Do you feel dominant?
Brandon is campaigning now on J6. That's why he launched his campaign in 2020 because of Charlottesville. It's all just about punishing us. But yeah, there's no such thing as the rule of law. Never has been. It all comes down to who's in charge, who's enforcing that law, who is interpreting that law. And we've been operating on this myth that this is not the case. And so, of course, we've been completely flanked. And I know we've covered that extensively already, but still. And I also want to start by clarifying that I am pro-Second Amendment. I don't support any regulations that you hear about in the news all the time.
You support regulations. You're supporting a regulation right now.
Everything that the founding fathers thought about guns, would think about guns, I'm right there with you. And
you just said the Constitution that they wrote is bad.
I have to say that now because people tend to be very antsy about guns. Are you coming to take it? Are you coming to take it? Status. And then just relax. All right, buddy, we're on the same team. Just hear me out. The timing of this ruling, though, is interesting because I've been thinking a lot about constitutional carry laws recently, and I've sort of been developing this theory that the only reason the initiative has been so successful, because with any conservative agenda that is successful, it's usually only successful because it's allowed to be, so you kind of have to wonder why that is. And with constitutional carry, meaning that you can just carry a firearm without a license, I've decided that the reason it's been so successful is probably much less about caring about the Constitution Constitution, and much more about just reducing the ability for criminals to run into problems if they're carrying a gun. Because a lot of times when you've got details that are shady, it's tough to prosecute these people, whether it's because of the district attorneys, weak evidence, regulations, activists, lawyers, clerical incompetence.
Can you just say stuff?
It's racial pressures.
I feel like he's wordy today.
All this stuff.
And it's a shorter video than you usually make.
Sometimes simply being in illegal possession of a firearm can go a long way. But if everyone is simply...
So all of the mass shootings that we've experienced have been white nationalists and right-wingers. We've had one person shot at a church where they got abused and stuff, which I'm not advocating for that, but it wasn't a terrorism, you know what I mean? Everybody else is right-wing lunatics. They're all right-wing lunatics. And then when we say, hey, maybe we shouldn't give lunatics guns, you're like, no regulations. And then when it's what if if there's no regulations, then there's no regulations, and everyone who comes to the United States has the right to a gun. And you're like, no, not that, though. So you need a regulation.
Allowed to carry a firearm because all of a sudden we really care about what the founding fathers think. Is that actually going to make for a safer society? Not that the founding fathers would agree with this illegal ruling thing. They would think you're an insane person, but still, we're supposed to suddenly think that the Constitution, respecting the Constitution, is actually what's at play here. And we're going to get into all the gun ownership and crime arguments in just a second, but just think about the type of person that is actually being affected by these laws. Most gun owners tend to be responsible people who are probably not going to think it's the end of the world if they have to apply for a concealed pistol license and attend a class, etc. Well, but it's my right. I shouldn't have to do that. Okay, I know. I'm just saying, with the types of people we have in America right now, who is actually going to benefit from this?
So you're advocating for regulation right now. Rocking a hard place for John Doyle, dude. Brown people getting guns? Whoa. Now I'm for the responsible gun ownership and some checks and balances on this thing, huh? Now I think maybe we should screen every once in a while. People are letting have guns. That just makes pragmatic sense. No Americans are freaks, though, right? No Americans ever freak out and shoot too many people, huh?
So I looked it up. I'm like, why are constitutional carry laws good? And all the answers were because government restricting freedom is bad. Full stop. Okay, sure, yes, but they do it every day. We have to be a little bit more realistic because you people also say that the only way to get the government to stop restricting freedom is to go 1776 mode, but then you all sat inside your house for 2 years while they locked us down. You didn't do anything, which is the greatest tyranny in this country's history and probably even the history of the world.
The greatest tyranny in the country's history, John? Do you think maybe it was slavery? I think it might have been slavery. I think also the prison industrial complex. I also think the imperialist wars. I think those supersede a lockdown for a pandemic that they didn't do effectively or on time. And people didn't really observe, and they didn't that tracks. You cannot open carry in California because of Reagan and the NRA after the Black Panthers started carrying and watching police. Right.
Even the Bolsheviks weren't breaking up private gatherings for grandma's birthday. And I'm not casting stones here. I don't believe that revolution, civil war, I don't believe that is nearly as plausible as we all like to fantasize about, which I think we'll be discussing soon.
We all like to fantasize? Do you like to fantasize about it?
Because they're making a movie about it, so trust. I'm just saying that I think we should think about things with a little bit more realism and not just LARP. So I found an organization which works towards this kind of stuff. And they said it's important because it restores Second Amendment rights to people who may not be able to afford classes and a permit and a background check. Sounds like a leftist resource scarcity argument, but I digress. And
resource scarcity argument? Money isn't a resource. Money is a roadblock. Money is definitely not a resource.
And for context, constitutional carry is pretty much a red state, purple state phenomenon.
NRAHE's milestone is 25 states recognize constitutional carry. Not Michigan, though. Let's fucking go. We have responsible gun ownership here. Look at those fucking dumb states. Do you know what every single one of these has in common? Incredible Christian influence. You have the Catholics up here. You got the Protestants in here. You get the evangelicals and and the Baptists down here, dude. I'm actually surprised about Louisiana and Florida, though. Good for them. What's up, Kinder? How old is this adult baby? He's like 25 or something?
That's very important here. So then here's a question. Do you really want somebody who can't afford to take a class to be able to carry a concealed handgun legally? Think about that type of person who can't afford it, who can't even figure out how to fill out some paperwork. That's who you now want being granted new access to guns. It's like in contemporary...
Wow, you're going lib on us, John. You're going full lib on us.
America, where you're paying more for certain restaurants, certain airlines, not because the quality is necessarily...
I know he's not a lib. Obviously, he's not a lib.
...necessarily better, but because you're trying...
I would take John as a lib. You kidding me? I just got to be mad at him because he still likes capitalism? What a better person. Absolutely an improvement. I wish he was a lib.
To distance yourself from people who can only afford the cheaper options. That's a diversity tax that you're paying. Does that translate anywhere else?
Have I ever chatted with John? I debated him and destroyed him on trans issues, and then he blocked me like a few years ago. So, yeah.
Do we think, oh, but criminals don't follow laws. Don't you know that? Right. That doesn't necessarily mean that we just pitch the laws, though. That means we charge criminals and put them in jail, right? I mean, the type of person who is responsible enough to carry a concealed firearm is probably not going to view a class as a significant impediment. I had to take one. I wish I didn't. But I also live in the real world, and I can think about things beyond just spazzing about my freedom or whatever. So, and I know you're not going to like this, but stay with me. Hold on. Ask yourself this. Given our circumstances right now, is it better to direct right-wing resources into this or to maybe installing our own district attorneys who will actually prosecute criminals? How many millions of dollars are we spending funding this kind of stuff, which I don't believe actually helps us, except maybe on the margins? I think it's only allowed because, again, it disarms the prosecution to the extent that prosecution even occurs, versus what we spend actually trying to restore order to our cities. Who is more empowered by this?
Okay, what is order in your cities? So these are homeless people. What do homeless people need? Huh? Anybody in chat know what homeless people might need? Anybody? Homeless people need guns. That's right.
I can't imagine someone who is serious about their right to self-defense who wouldn't just go take the class. But I can imagine a lot
Holmes? That might help.
Of criminals who now feel more empowered to just freely drive around with a handgun, and if police find them, so what? And obviously, I don't support may-issue states. I don't support what you see in blue states, but I'm just saying that my hunch is that constitutional carry is being increasingly allowed because it allows criminals to more freely just carry guns around with them on their person in their day-to-day. That's like my tinfoil hat. You know, in solid blue states where they don't prosecute actual crime, they'll have gun laws to disarm you specifically because, yes, actual criminals don't follow laws, but those blue states will still prosecute you for...
Actual criminals don't follow laws. We should have border laws.
Defending yourself. But now these red, purple states, which are coming around to constitutional carry, states where maybe we do still prosecute crime, where maybe some actual criminals could go to jail. Well, now all of a sudden they're saying, well, it shouldn't be a crime to carry a gun because all of a sudden we care about the Constitution.
So, yeah, it should be a crime to do the crime, right, John? So crime, it's a crime to do a crime, not a crime to not do one. Correct. That's right. But these are potential criminals that could have just been wrapped up on a gun charge, but now we're waiting for a real crime. I think maybe we should just be proactive about society and maybe offer people a standard of living that doesn't lead people to the desperation of crime to make ends meet, right? Most people don't want to do crime. Most people turn to crime. There are some people that just love a little crime, you know? A little, as a treat. But like, you know, those are usually like petty thieves and stuff. Fun crimes. Like graffiti.
That's the difference. Very interesting. So in blue states where gun laws are only enforced against you, you've got to jump through a million hoops. But
CEOs, true.
Purple states where maybe we could actually get some justice. Hey, don't worry, patriot. We've got your back now. Anyone can carry a gun. And now even the illegal patriots can carry guns too. Less crime, right, amigo? Don't you?
It's so illegal. So you see a bunch of people walking on foot with everything they own on their backs, and you're like, definitely bad folks in here. Definitely bad. And you ask these people why they're coming in, and they're like, well, I want to work and have a better life than I have due to the destabilization your country has imposed on my nation below it.
Remember, we're shipping busloads of illegal patriots to your state so they can practice their God-given right to self-defense, brother. Not like in those blue states, brother, where they have to deal with big government. You see the problem here? Very, very not muy bien. Obviously, again, I'm pro-Second Amendment, but I have to be suspicious of any sudden attempt to democratize access to firearms because it's not like they'd let that happen if it were really a threat to them, right? Maybe our guys realize we've reached critical mass and we're just trying to spend all political capital to distribute resources in preparation. Maybe it's actually more of a threat to us. Maybe it's meant to hurt us. Maybe that's also why the legal system is democratizing access to guns even to non-citizens. Yeah.
I really don't understand this. This is like a right-winger's happy places to get constitutional carry.
To understand when the snake is defending itself. Now on to the libertarian snakes who have never and who will never defend themselves. They were enthused about this ruling because they want to arm migrants. This is because they are Second Amendment absolutists. Heckin' pew-pews. It's the only axiom of their worldview.
I agree that libertarians are cringe, but for different reasons. The gun rights pew-pew guys are super dumb.
Either pro-Maheckin shooty sticks or you're a fascist, communist, authoritarian, statist, commie tyrant like that.
I'm so glad that they are having arguments. The right is fractured, dude. The left is feeling a little more unified than the right now. Do you guys feel that too? I mean, obviously the liberals are not making us very happy, but
that is
how can you be cringe while making fun of someone who is cringe, right?
They view the world, because they're egalitarians at their core. They're liberals. They believe that the founding fathers wrote the Constitution to enshrine God-given rights, meaning everyone gets these rights in America.
Do you think 2A applies to every person on Earth? Our laws only apply to our nation. The con makes it clear that some laws apply to persons or owners. 3A. The people, which make clear that are the citizenry. Yes, the Bill of Rights is a recognition of all mankind's natural rights. It really do be saying that, though, in the Bill of Rights. We believe that all men are created equal and bestowed rights by their creator. Yeah. How about we make John Doyle go through the Darien Gap, and if he can do it, he gets human rights? No, I think he should have to fight his way out from the bottom of an active volcano. I think that's a better task.
For this enforcement of this access to natural rights, God-given rights, etc. They believe that when I own a gun, it's the same thing as when a Haitian owns a gun, because
it is
no labels, there's no borders, there's only gun owner.
Yeah, it's the same. Yeah, why would it be different than a Haitian person having a gun? I would love to know the difference.
And if the Haitian and I are both gun owners, well, then we're the same in the eyes of the libertarian. And actually,
you are the same. What makes you different, John?
Libertarian would sooner ally with the Haitian alien, than with John Doyle, because John Doyle's mean.
Haitian alien? I think you might actually be able to report this video. I mean, he's so fucking racist in it. I don't know. Maybe YouTube wouldn't. But.
And he doesn't think that James Madison had the Haitian alien in mind when he wrote the Second Amendment, which means that John Doyle wants to restrict the rights of people like a freaking authoritarian, which means that he's a bad guy. And if you said this to a founding father, they probably would have had you hanged, of course. But as if they, would have just armed the Indians. They would have given guns to the Indians because of these God-given rights, these natural rights. Why would they arm the people trying to conquer them? Well, they were the invaders first. They're occupying stolen land. Yeah, based.
Yeah, based? So do they have the right to self-defense, John? What do you mean? So you're upset that the people that you colonized, that you say is based, defended themselves? Scalp him, honestly. Just get after it. He doesn't need it. What's he using it for?
I don't know why you're like 5 years old and
they sold guns to Native Americans. They absolutely did.
I think you're exposing some profound double standard. It's based and red-pilled when we do it, and it's cringe and gay and illegal when they do it. Like that.
Yeah.
That's how the game is played.
That's how the game is played. So, do you understand why this doesn't make any functional sense? Like, it's just fascism, John. And I'm assuming he's aware of this at this point. He's like, yeah, I'm an authoritarian. I love that shit. I'm a white nationalist, for sure. I like that. Yeah, for sure, man. Good God, this guy's a human flip-flop. He's dog shit. John Doyle is a dog shit fucking pussy, dude.
You don't arm the invaders. Principles are abstractions that you and your cool friends agree upon when the war is over. Mm-hmm. But the war's not over, is it? But you can't explain this to a libertarian, because the libertarian psychology is like the worst thing you can imagine. And I may do a video in the future explaining this more in depth.
Have you ever met an anarcho-capitalist, John? That's worse than just a regular libertarian.
I stopped being a libertarian when I was like 16. But for now, we will simply mock on them. And for what it's worth, I like the paleo-libertarians. I have a lot of respect and admiration for a lot of libertarians. I don't even reject the philosophy behind it necessarily.
You literally do. You literally do.
It would probably work pretty well in a country of like 130 IQ Anglo-Saxons. But that's not
130 IQ Anglo-Saxons. Yeah, man. You're fucking racist. I know he knows he's racist and he's proud of it and it doesn't hurt his feelings or anything. He's like, yeah, you're goddamn right, I'm fucking racist. He's kind of a pussy. He's not allowed to really say it, right? Fuck is a paleo-libertarian? I mean, they want to live on the land and libertarian, like... Although it wouldn't be really paleo, I guess. It'd be more like agrarian, Thomas Jefferson-style libertarian, where you have like a farm and trad wife and stuff.
What we're dealing with.
I hate libertarians. I don't hate libertarians. Yeah, man.
The problem with the libertarian is that they are delusional. They are not connected to reality. They assume like the perfectibility of the individual. They think only in ought, not in is. And it manages to simultaneously combine immaturity, classlessness, downward mobility, vulgarity, egalitarianism, these democratic impulses. It's like if the Powerpuff Girls dad were in a lab trying to make like the world's biggest idiot, and then that's what it is. It's some like 45-year-old divorced dad who smokes weed and simps for e-girls on Twitter. And he spends his time being mad at statists and collectivists. What planet are you on?
I agree with everything you just said about libertarians, John, but not for the reason that you said it. I agree. I think libertarians are right about human freedom and wrong about everything else because they don't believe in other people's freedom. They only believe in the individual's freedom. They don't believe in like freedom from each other. Like, loud Skrillex neighbor is still a super funny moral dilemma for a fucking libertarian. You know what I mean? Like, if I have a neighbor, and I do have a loud neighbor that plays a lot of music, it's not Skrillex though. The non-aggression principle states that I can't do anything about my neighbor who has just loud music playing every day. It's just loud Skrillex every day, and it annoys me and it keeps me up at night. But there's no, because we're in a libertarian place, there's no like ordinances or anything. There's no like community response to it. The best I can do is go ask, and if that person just says no, what do you do? Like, what do you do, man? Which is why in anarcho-communism or socialism, because you have a society of people that are trying to work together, you could enforce communal situations. That said, you could also get outvoted. Maybe everyone likes the Skrillex, but still, I think I think it's funny. You just shoot them and take their house. I've only heard very extreme libertarians answer me like that. It's like, well, at that point, I would just have to attack. Most of the time, they just don't know how to interact with it.
You just call me a collectivist? In 2024, these people, how do you dress yourself? I mean, who helped you put the graphic tee on this morning? And the synthesis of that, by the way, its product is ideas and discourse like this, the antithesis of everything that we're trying to do. And why so much waste occurs on our side is because of this cancerous...
It is on their side of the yard.
...infection from libertarianism. It's like in Portal 2. Remember when GLaDOS tells you the scientists developed the core to do nothing but distract her with the stupidest ideas conceivable to prevent her from becoming too powerful?
Wow. Yeah, John. Nothing like that happened to you.
That's the best way to understand libertarians. That's why they don't get deplatformed. But yours truly did 2 years in Twitter jail before Elon Musk bought it. Speaking of which, there was this video going around recently. You see these all the time, though. And it was a bunch of black people in Chicago. And they're walking down the street, brandishing their firearms. And I said something like, libertarians will see this and be like, hell yeah.
Yeah, man. Black people get to have guns, too. But you're racist. Twitter jail for what? I don't remember what he did, but it was obviously against TOS.
Just a bunch of open carry advocates exercising their Second Amendment rights. And libertarians were actually replying to that tweet with like the yes meme, like the Giga Chad. It's over. It's literally over. We're not just an economic zone. We're all...
Yeah, it's over because black people open carry? Okay, so what is an American, John? I think I know the answer to that.
Also like an arms trafficking zone. The only problem the libertarian has is that they don't have grenade launchers and M60s. Literally, like that's actually what these people believe. The Louisiana Libertarian Party was getting in on this. They don't believe in borders. They don't really have a problem with LGBT stuff because of freedom. Remember when they booed?
Yeah, why would you have problems with LGBT stuff? Freedom is good. Yes, the freedom to live your life.
Gary Johnson because he said that driver's licenses are probably a good idea. Like, they're the least serious people in politics, truly. I mean that. Like, guns are tools, right? That's what we say. Guns are tools of the gun owner. But are all gun owners the same? Do they behave the same? Doesn't matter. The Second Amendment statist, the Second Amendment...
Yeah, he wants to... He's so for regulation, man.
Amendment was actually intended to enshrine the sovereignty of the American people over the government and to protect them from the savage continent which they were in the process of taming. It was written to apply only...
The savage continent that they were taming. You were colonizing a place that was already settled against people who didn't want to have that, and the only reason you won was the technology gap because they had been over here living without you. And the only reason you have the technology is because you are waging war so much, because you're barbarians. White people come from a barbarous class of individuals. We just do. We have been waging a war on neighbors for like thousands of years. We gained this technology through violence only. You don't invent the gun unless you're trying to kill people all the time. And you did it. You did it to get through people's fucking armor because you're waging crusades on each other. It's just crazy. I love the Manifest Destiny Angel. Did it work, John?
To citizens. We already have too many of those. But if you don't want to extend the right to bear arms to the invaders, well, then you're literally Hitler. This is the discourse. Rights for me, but not for thee. The modern conservative movement is just left-wing fascists that want to bring tyranny to the country at the speed limit. They don't understand, nor have even heard of the concept of inalienable rights. They are intellectual mental midgets masquerading as thought leaders.
Left-wing fascists? Weird. That is weird. This guy doesn't know what he's talking about. However, I agree with they don't understand the concept of inalienable rights. I mean... If you're making a non-regulation argument for guns, This is what it is. So now John is forced to fight for regulation.
Midwit alert! Midwit alert! 110 IQ detected! Be advised, patriots, spike chromosomes are in the air and they're going to infect you. All the key midwit indicators are there. Modern conservatism.
What? Right-wing memes are so specific. Bro has straight out. He's literally throwing a fit right now.
Use of the word modern to shield from criticism. Oh, I just mean modern I just mean modern feminism, as if you have an understanding of a timeline. The whole Michael Malice, conservatism is progressivism driving the speed limit. They love saying this whenever Republicans endorse something left-wing, which is usually because they're conservatarians, and they love saying this as if they have some other solution. Oh, you're mad at conservatives for agreeing too much with progressives? Okay, so what's your alternative? Doing literally the same thing because my freedom, like letting gay couples defend their marijuana farms with AR-15s.
Yes, gay couples can defend their marijuana farms with the AR-15s, I guess. Sure. Why can't a gay couple have a marijuana farm? I actually don't fucking understand this guy.
They have no understanding. They've never even heard of the concept of inalienable rights. Oh, inalienable. Wow. I didn't know that. You're telling me that now for the first time. Just the mental midgets thing, the intellectual mental midgets. You know that's a Reddit insult? If you Google that right now, best insults, that will come up. It's a tautology. Intellectual mental midget. What are you even saying? The recognition of all mankind's natural rights. Then
he's so fucking ass mad.
Imagine starts playing by John Lennon and we all hold hands and we all sing songs. Freaking statist. We're an economic zone and a right zone. Freaking
rights belong to the citizens of that particular country. Wrong.
Status. I don't even know what's going on right now. I don't know if you guys have noticed this. Libertarian culture, gun culture, it's so cringe. Maybe it always has been to a certain extent.
Yes.
Maybe it's a psyop to make gun culture unattractive and off-putting. Heckin' booger finger on the bang switch. Shut the up, dude. I've been seeing these reels and shorts of like these skinny Antifa guys. Like it's got the same energy.
Skinny Antifa guys. What are you doing, John? Are you pretending to be like a man now? Is that what he thinks he is? He thinks he's a big man now?
Of the guy who kicked the woman in the downtown.
John needs to get his ass kicked in real life, I think. Like genuinely just get rolled. I think it would help him. It's crazy how he's avoided this for so long.
Area, and he wound himself up and he did like a little freaking kick, or even the video of the guy in the skateboard, and he's like, say the N-word one more time, and the guy's just like, N-word, and then he like hits him with the skateboard in the head and he's like, you can't be saying the N-word, my guy. Like he consoles him immediately after. It's like it's aggression but without actual aggression. You're performing it. It's theatrics. You're like acting as though you are capable of things like
why is this theatrical? This is funny.
What is wrong with salami?
This is goat shit still. Holy shit, this guy's ball never dropped. His sporadic speech, the kind of mocking he does in that stupid laugh, it reminds me when I was in third. Yeah, no, he's definitely still in high school. Because he didn't have any friends, and he was a sandwich artist at Subway, and his parents were like, hey, man, you suck. And then he's like, I'm moving to Texas with my friends, and then he did. Anyway, I'm going to watch this kick again. It's hilarious. This is just kicking a phone out. At an anti-abortion rally.
Without actual aggression. You're performing it. It's theatrics.
Love it.
You're like acting as though you are capable of things like that, but it's in the most gay way possible. It's like insane. It's fascinating to see this kind of content. Like it's just gay behavior that is wearing the costume of violence to make itself appear cooler, more edgy, more attractive. But it's just cringe. Like there's no conviction behind it. There's no aggression behind it.
I got hit in the head
wrong with salami?
With a skateboard for saying a slur. That was regular aggression. They just filmed it, I guess. I retract human flip-flop. He's the concept of cognitive dissident taken human form. There are more cognitively dissident guys. This guy is just a fascist. I don't think he's full. I mean, he has cognitive dissonance, of course, but this guy is very just fascist.
It's just cope. Like, yeah, you're so edgy and rebellious for saying you're going to make the freaking government go away. Very threatening, very transgressive. Ideas that are actually dangerous don't need to present themselves with those theatrics. And I know we've talked about the Second Amendment before, how it's largely a cope, and I stand by all of that. But it's important to emphasize that what has emasculated men cannot be fixed with access to firearms.
Do you feel emasculated, John? Sounds like a personal problem. Anyone else in chat feel emasculated? Imagine.
We are spiritually broken. We are completely
spiritually broken. What's spiritually mean? Come on, bro.
Domesticated. We have no real capacity for risk or discomfort or violence.
Are you Tyler Durdening right now? I cannot believe you're fucking unironically Tyler Durdening. You should talk to Chuck Palahniuk about this.
And that's why a lot of the most popular content pertaining to guns looks
Do we even use gay as a slur anymore? Are you from the yeah, I mean, he uses gay as a slur, yeah.
exactly like you would expect it to look if that type of man were the biggest gun fanatic, which is
Fight Club is about how cool Tyler Durden is. That's right.
that it looks like a bunch of little boys just playing around with guns. And of course, I'm not calling for anything. I'm not even taking shots. I mean, it's cool content, but there's something to be said about that broader conversation on the internalized destruction of American men, the spiritual crisis. And we just have to emphasize that it doesn't matter what tools you give to that man. He himself is completely domesticated. He's a little boy. And it's not to say
he's a little boy. John, not a little boy. Big man. Big, strong man. John is not a little boy. Look at this little fucking twerp, bro. I cannot believe twerp-ass men are trying to do this kind of shit. Leftists should reach for more actual political power.
say that the Second Amendment itself is like a cope, the whole thing.
I know I've seen this before. The future is female, and he scratched out the FE is so fucking cringe, bro. Not, I mean, all of this is cringe, but that is particularly cringe.
Thing was drawn up from the beginning, and it was allowed to continue without ratification because
I scratched it out so it says boy. it says a boy. Huh? You get it? I don't like girls. Yuck. Yucky.
In charge realized that it would be an effective like pressure release valve, and people would think to themselves, well, you know, the government would never try to become tyrannical because I've got all these guns, and then they would just circumvent it. But I do think that both sides at this point are effectively content with the standoff. Like, the government knows that banning guns is not practical, it's bad optics, it's not even necessary to do what they want to do, and it's never stopped them, certainly. And what they want to do isn't stop crime or gun violence, by the way, obviously. Well, criminals don't care about laws. So when you ban guns, you're only disarming law-abiding citizens. Yeah, that means you, white man, you poor bastard. That means you. You're the law-abiding citizen. You're the only person who has his day-to-day decisions and behavior affected by these laws. Like we said, blue states where they don't prosecute actual gun crimes, they'll have gun laws to disarm you specifically. What we talked about earlier is the red state, purple states, which are coming around to constitutional carries, becoming those states, which now maybe do prosecute crime. Now all of a sudden they're saying, well, it shouldn't be a crime to just carry a gun because suddenly we care about the Constitution, I guess. That's the key difference. Criminals don't follow laws. You think they don't know that? Those gun laws are for you and you only, patriot.
So criminals don't follow laws. Where do they get the guns, John? It's not about the criminals. It's about the suppliers of guns being able to sell them. Where are they going to get the guns from? The black market? What's the black market supplied by? It's gun makers, guys. Did you know that? Did you know the black market? Did you know also the gun show loophole's real and you can just you can sell guns to people? You just sell guns to people. You know, you don't need a black market. You just need a guy. He's a guy. I'll be like, hey, man, you got any guns I can buy? Like, yeah, man, I collect guns. You want one? I got like fucking 500 guns here. I'm an American. So I got 500 guns. You want a gun? Sure, bro. I could use $50 or $300. Probably $300. Sell a gun for $50, please. Now you got guns. It's real easy. I grew up in the country, bro. We all got guns out there. We all got guns. Chill, man.
They want to disarm the people. They don't want to just disarm you because they're like threatened by you.
They're not disarming anyone. They're giving constitutional carry, John. What? What?
But more so because they want you to be less equipped to defend yourself and your family from the consequences of diversity. I'm sure they're not like...
The consequences of diversity. So racists, because... Okay. So racists who buy into racist shit see what white people have done historically, like chattel slavery, colonization, etc., internment. They see that and they go, that's good. However, if we are the minority, that's what's going to happen to us. So we can't let that happen. It's such projection, man. The projection on people worried about being fucking minorities. I was talking to someone today. I was talking to Millennial Woes for just a second, who is a pussy and a coward, who I have no problem with talking to. Blocked me because he's a coward. Because he's just racist, man. Like, great replacement theorying out here. Like, oh, you want to be a fucking minority? I'm like, I don't care at all. I'm literally a minority in my city, and I don't feel it at all. It's just, who gives a fuck? There are fewer white people here than non-white people. Cool. It matters not to me. I don't even think about it. I go to the store all the time. I see plenty of white people. I don't need more of them. I cannot imagine caring about this shit.
In love with Americans having so many guns. But America's a gun culture. It's always been a gun culture. And it became a gun culture precisely because we had to defend ourselves from the types of people that our tax dollars are now paying to import.
Defend ourselves. No. You had to aggress against. You're not defending yourself when you're invading. We're cockroaches. We shouldn't have been. I would like to lead the white race. The white race, John, to a better future. One where we don't have to be filthy cockroaches and we can just be non-barbarous, kind human beings that want to commune with one another and have a quality lifestyle where we all get to pursue whatever kind of happiness we'd like to the maximal degree. That's what humanity should be about. Pursuing happiness. It's right there in the Constitution, baby. You see, like them founding fathers? Pursue some fucking happiness, dude. The problem with the founding fathers is they didn't view other people as human enough to also pursue happiness. I disagree with them, and I disagree with you. All humans should be able to pursue happiness. It'd be great to see. Yeah, of course, right? They're so worried about not being white anymore. It's like, no one's going to take away your individual whiteness. Don't have sex with people that aren't white if you're worried about white babies and shit then. You know? I guess. But that's not what happens. People just commingle and it's just going to keep happening. There won't be any white or black people someday if we live that long. 5,000 years from now, there's just no fucking way. You'd have to have some isolated human populations. It's not going to be a thing, man. You're living in the past. There's no reason to hold on to this. I can't believe we have to talk about this shit. If I was in charge of the world, we would have flying cars. Bet. And I'm just some guy. I don't even know how to make a flying car. I'm just saying. We'd have flying cars. You better believe it.
House, clothe, feed, the whole 9 yards. Well, most gun crimes are committed with handguns. Yeah, that's why they don't ban handguns. They don't want to stop crime. Don't ever make the mistake of believing that these people are saying words to you as if they're real or have meaning. Mm-hmm. They just don't want you here. And you really have
don't even think they're saying words. Just and take away all aspects of humanity when you view someone else.
You have to digest that and adjust your worldview to accommodate that knowledge. Mm-hmm. But that is precisely why they want to ban AR-15s. They want you to have to stop a mob of organized Haitian gangsters with a handgun instead of an AR. While they also have handguns. It's the great...
You're worried about a Haitian invasion or something? You think Haiti's going to attack? What? Do you think Haitian warlords have monopoly on violence because the people didn't have access to guns by the U.S. government? Like the second... I don't understand how the Haitian government... It's one of those things. Like, we destabilized Haiti, and we continue to. And we could easily solve problems there, but we don't. Because Haitian is a stand-in for the N-bomb today. It really is, dude.
Right? Suddenly doesn't seem so equal in that situation.
What about flying public transit? Ooh.
Might need a little bit more there. Here's a fact.
High-speed rail is probably better.
But if you take American crime rates, violent crime, gun homicide, whatever, and you eliminate certain groups from the data to make our demographics look more like the European countries to which we're always compared, it's a virtual match. They're the same per capita. But then the other side of that coin is that if you bring back the silly demographics and you expand their proportion of the overall population to match, say, the demographics of some third world country.
The silly demographics. Very YouTube friendly. I think just right now, I think we should hateful or abusive content.
Well, then curiously, those violent crime rates match.
How would you control traffic with flying cars? Flying public transit is a way better idea. Well, I mean, we were being a little hyperbolic, but you could do it. You could absolutely do it. You've seen it happen in movies. That's how.
Or two. It's fascinating because, see, I always thought that everyone's the same and a gun owner is a gun owner and we're all equal and we're all gun owners. And you run into a lot of problems like this when your axiom for viewing the world is only my frickin' pew-pews. Anyone who owns a pew-pew is friend, and those who are anti-pew-pew are enemy. More guns means less crime. Are you sure? Do you think we drop the pallet of Glock 17s into Memphis or Detroit or Chicago? Do you think that's going to cause fewer crimes? Even if we give it a second to kick in, we check back in 6 months later. If I were a skeptic, I would say that more guns being associated with less crime probably is like, okay, well, more guns tends to mean more white people because we like to hoard guns, we like hunting, we're generally pro-Second Amendment, so it's really...
Yeah, it's just dripping with racism. It's just like, man, you can't give people that aren't white guns. Yeah, just flat racism. I have a notion, but respect for Haiti. Globally, we should celebrate the Haitian Revolution. Here's a country that was born from a slave rebellion. I think that's something that humanity should celebrate. Also, France needs to pay Haiti back. Oh, well... The reason Haiti is broke is because they were forced to pay a bunch of money that they shouldn't have. I agree. But right now it's run by fucking warlords who are doing might makes right shit. So, I mean,
Really the guns, because we also know that the greatest predictor for violent crime at a national level is not the proportion of a county that is not legal firearm owners, not even the proportion of the county that is in poverty. The strongest predictor, actually, is the proportion of the county that is composed of silly Americans. But it's easy to look at Montana, where two
silly Americans. A lot of euphemisms for racism. Actually, it's economic. He's wrong, and he's not showing you data on purpose, because crime rates across the board, irrespective of demographic, increase as poverty does. And so it's poverty and population density. The more people you have in poverty, it's bad. And, of course, less space. So
2/3 of the population owns a gun and say, hell yeah, there's no Baltimore in Montana, and it's because criminals are afraid of all the guns. Are we sure? Is that what we're going with? But this is the discourse. The U.S. was founded by illegal immigrants with...
Montana has problems, but its population density is like 250,000 people over the space of fucking Montana, you know? I don't know. What's the population of Montana? 2 million? Montana population. 1.14 million. The population of Detroit is over half that. Just Detroit. You know what I'm saying? So, like, yeah, man. Sure. There's only 1.9 million people in Idaho. Don't worry about it thinking or anything.
Guns. Hey, do you think, you have an idea of what it means to become a nation or a people? That you got brainwashed into collectivism? Oh my, shut up. You're not an actual person. The CIA has been monitoring my blood pressure and my cortisol levels through the camera in my phone and just creating a database of like what raises it the most. Like, you're literally trying to kill me. You're treading on me. You are impeding my pursuit of happiness. You are threatening my life by making me a danger to myself. You are putting me into a self-defense situation. Libertarians are literally the most collectivist people I've ever encountered because they're all NPCs. You will never sooner see someone's brain just shut down and start spitting out nonsense like you will with a libertarian. Pitbull owners, though, a close second.
Pitbull owners. Dude, he just hits every fucking racist dog whistle. It's just every racist dog whistle. Pits are very cute. Pit bulls are great dogs.
I'm really glad that I never smoked weed and got into arguments with my dad, because otherwise my libertarian phase maybe would have lasted beyond 16, maybe even...
I'm glad I never smoked weed or got into arguments with my dad. God, you're such a fucking loser. I can't deal with how much of a fucking loser this guy is.
Into 18, who knows? That would have been a disaster.
Very rare, highly illegal photograph of 17-year-old me in a Ron Paul t-shirt. I still love Ron Paul, but I don't know what happened to this shirt, which is disappointing because it was it was like the Obama 08 style poster, but instead it was Ron Paul, and it said like dangerous or something, because at the time I was very bitter about how the establishment media blacklisted his campaigns, especially in 2012, and I was doing my part by advertising this on my body at my public high school in Southeast Michigan. So yeah, wow, that's a really cool fucking post, John.
But yeah, I've been seeing these reels and these shorts where like some guy's just playing around with guns. There's a whole genre of this content now, and a lot of it's really cool. But then you see a lot of it, and you've got these guys like soy facing. They're like, "Whoa, look at my freaking pew pew! Look at my shooty stick, shooty boy, make big boom!" And it's like, what are you doing? Like, I love guns, I respect guns, I have many. But what is going on with the fetishizing? And I don't like the whole like leftist psychoanalyzing bit. But like, what's going on? Do you understand what you're talking?
The leftist psychoanalyzing bit? It's not psychoanalyzing, man. Mental health is just a real thing. It like, you need help. You need help, brother. Your amygdala is firing too much. You're too paranoid. Conservatives are deeply paranoid. We've done studies on this. It shows that conservatives vote based on fear almost always, and they have a lot of fear-based politics. This is all that. They're just afraid all the time, and it's projection. It's projection that they're worried that if they are a minority, that they will get treated the way they treat minorities.
About. You're talking about killing people. And I'm not moral fagging. I'm not like, hey, take it seriously and show some respect to the weapon.
Dude, okay, we can actually...
You're talking about killing people. And I'm not moral fagging.
Okay, so 2637. Let's fucking go, dude. Perfect. We're just going to hit them with all of them, dude. Love it.
I'm not like, hey, take it seriously and show some respect to the weapon. It's more like, why are you being gay about it? You see this a lot with any LARPing, whether it's Operator LARPing, Crusader LARPing, Deus Volt, but then they tone police me for saying something freaking racist on Twitter. Like, okay, tough guy, you're talking about killing people. Like, I'm the first guy. I'm the big believer that the first rule of gun safety is have fun. But
he acknowledges that he's racist.
You can't be cringe with it. That's the most irresponsible thing you can do with a firearm.
Yeah, you're not cringe, John.
All things that could go wrong with a firearm, that's the kingpin. Because when you're cringe with a gun, it's like a form of negligent discharge, actually. You are endangering the lives of those around you with your negligence. Because if you're being cringe with a firearm, you're going to discourage people from owning firearms. And that's bad, because then we're going to be dealing with a lot of new Americans exercising their right to keep and bear arms in the near future. And the country's a stockpile of weapons, so it should be very secure, right? A rifle behind every blade of grass. Well, what if there's like an illegal patriot there behind that blade of grass too, right?
An illegal patriot. So yeah, man, the way you treat people will definitely be pushed back on you. I actually hope, man, that you get what you're scared of. I hope it's coming for you. That'd be amazing for me. I would love that. We'll do a little crab dance.
Is when invaders tunnel in and are granted access to those weapons.
That was the timestamp for the F-slur. Yeah.
And then law enforcement in the national security state are not there to stop crime, but to stop you from defending yourself. Well, that's a recipe for disaster. Anarcho-tyranny, as it were, right? So my advice in the meantime would be take the money that you would spend collecting all your favorite guns from all your favorite movies and video games, get a few nice ones, and then spend the rest.
Oh, what was it? It was 27, 28 or something.
That money on training. There are plenty of ex-military guys who will teach you the things that they've learned. They will give you that training over the course of a few days or longer. You can take their classes. Usually they're not advertised. You're going to have to ask around, but pick a couple guys that you want to train with and then just go do it. And be careful. You know, there are feds, there are lulberts, but otherwise you should.
There are feds.
Pretty much be good to go. It'll be fun. And when we get to Great Again World, you will look back fondly on the experience.
Great Again World. Cool. So John Doyle is absolutely a fascist and white nationalist racist, which he loves. He loves doing that. Very cool. The other cool thing is that I don't think that the right is very healthy. Given that conversation, that seemed like the right is not exactly a nice place. He's been arguing with right-wingers and people he'd normally be in coalition with for like 2 years now. So, yeah.